Hit the thumbs up if you like our video, and be sure to subscribe so you can stay tuned for all our adventures. Deep in the hills around Verdun, still pockmarked from the millions of shells that killed more than 300,000 soldiers and wounded another 400,000, we trace the history of one of the most famous battles in the First World War. The Battle of Verdun began on 21 February 1916, when the German army began pounding the forts and trenches with artillery fire as 1,200 guns smashed the French positions. During the first few days, the Germans breached the French front lines and captured Fort Douaumont without a fight. Anxious to retake the fort because of its high position, the French soldiers clung to their positions, and despite furious fighting on Le Morton, the Germans were unable to breach the French front line. After taking Fort Vaux, the Germans launched an attack to capture Verdun, only to fail again, barely. In the autumn of 1916, the French counterattacked and recaptured Fort Douaumont. A few days later, they entered Fort Vaux, and it was empty. The battle lasted for 302 days, the longest and one of the most costly in human history. As we traveled along the Sacred Way, we came to the Verdun Memorial. Trucks and guns on a mock-up of the Sacred Way are a reminder of the logistics of the gigantic battle, displayed against a background of engine noise and archived images. The ground floor focuses on the experience of soldiers fighting on the front line and recreates the violence of the battle, showing the tremors and contortions of the ground constantly pounded by shellfire. Archived images, artwork, and the humble, fragile, everyday objects used by soldiers set out in bare wooden display cases gives you a different view of the battle. At the end, we entered an enclosed space beneath the battlefield screens, which gave some idea of the claustrophobic surroundings of soldiers crouching in shell holes on the front line of the battle. Boyau de Londres means the London Trench, referring to an innovation that made access safe and convenient to Fort Douaumont. The trenches are visible from the access road to the fort and are part of an educational route. Try to imagine yourself moving in these trenches. Continuous shelling, sniper fire, rain, mud, wires, and other soldiers are just some of the many pitfalls which make trenches perilous. After the capture of Forts Douaumont and Vaux, the French arranged the new channels of communication intended to feed the French positions. Fort Douaumont was the largest and highest fort on the ring of 19 large defensive works, which had protected the city of Verdun. Before entering, I recommend that you walk up upon the ramparts and parapets, weaving through the cupolas, to see just how enormous the fort is. Still visible are impact craters from the artillery that rained down on the fort day after day. On 25 February 1916, Fort Douaumont was entered and occupied without a fight by a small German raiding party comprised of only 98 men. The easy fall of Fort Douaumont, only 3 days after the beginning of the Battle of Verdun, shocked the French army. It sets the stage for the rest of a battle which lasted 9 months, with enormous human cost. Douaumont was finally recaptured by 3 infantry divisions of the Second Army during the First Offensive Battle of Verdun on 24 October 1916. After we entered the fort, we immediately felt a sense of grandeur for the building and the battle. Following our printed guide, we walked the halls and came upon the 155mm howitzer cannons, which could fire 43 kilogram shells up to 7 kilometers. We continued to explore the fort, ducking in and out of rooms from the corridor with our flashlights. It seemed that the fort went on forever. Fort Vaux was the second fort to fall in the Battle of Verdun. Once again, I recommend you climb to the top of the fort before entering, so you can see the magnitude of what can only be described as endless artillery. Built to house a garrison of 150 men, the mock-ups of the barracks, aid station, and offices gives you a taste of what life was like for the French soldiers in 1916. The defense of Fort Vaux was marked by the heroism and endurance of the garrison, including Major Raynal in June of 1916. Under his command, the French garrison repulsed German assaults for 6 days, including fighting underground from barricades inside the corridors. The last of the French garrison gave up after running out of water, ammunition, medical supplies, and food. The Ossuary Tower, also called the Lantern of the Dead, offers a stunning view on the battleground. At night, the beacon lights the battlefield with its red and white lights and can be seen from miles away. The 137-meter-long ossuary makes up the central part of the monument. Inside the cloister, 22 alcoves house the tombs that represent the 46 sectors of the Battle of Verdun. In those tombs lie 130,000 unidentified soldiers gathered from the battlefield after the armistice. Around 4,000 inscriptions cover the walls and the arches of the cloister. While sobering, the Verdun battlefield offered a unique glimpse into the most historical battle of World War I. If you have a chance, you should take a visit for yourself and let us know what you think. Please like and share our video, and thanks for watching.